There's a level of discipline so strong that it will scare people who look at you. And I'm going to show you exactly how to get there yourself. If you've ever seen someone who stays consistent and achieves their goals day in and day out without faltering, then you know what I'm talking about. Other people are fearful and insecure of that level of discipline because it really makes you question yourself and think about, well, why can't I be like that? Well, the truth is, you can be like that. And it comes down to things that are going on in your identity that just need to be worked out. This is something that I strive for on my own. It's something that I've worked on in my life. I live soberly, I work out daily, and I stick with my daily routines. I get up at 5 a.m. every day. I go to sleep at the same time. And this isn't just something where I'm going to say, oh, just go to sleep at this time and it's easy. I'm actually going to tell you how to get to where you need to go, not just what to do, but how to actually do it, how to actually have the changes that last. Because most of the information I see out there is just telling you what you need to do. Oh, just be disciplined. Well, this isn't really that easy. You can't just be disciplined. This is about how do you actually become that disciplined and stay consistent. We see this all the time. You go to the gym in January, you see it's crowded. By February, it's pretty much empty. You see people that you run into, they tell you, oh, yeah, like I'm on a diet. Or you'll see somebody who lost a bunch of weight. You see them a few months later and they've gained it back. You see people telling you, oh, yeah, I'm starting this program. They don't finish it. I even heard someone say recently that only about 10% of people who buy an online course actually complete it. So 90% of people just buy the course and don't even complete it. And so what this all tells you is that there are positive intentions here. People really do want to change. They want to be disciplined. They want to change in their life. They want to improve things, but they just don't really know how to actually do it, how to stay consistent. It seems like this ethereal thing, like, how did these people do it? So then they read books, and we've all done this. I've done this myself. You read books about how some super successful entrepreneur achieved something, how somebody who ran some crazy marathon or climbed Mount Everest did it, and you read about their triumphs and what they did, and you try to learn from it. You listen to a podcast interview with somebody like that. But the problem is, almost all these people will say, well, I just had this experience, like this trauma, whatever it is, and then I used it as fuel. And it's just this really ethereal concept that doesn't give you much. And it's like, well, how do I apply this to my own life? How do I actually do that? And most of these people can't actually articulate how they did it. So they'll talk about the habits that they have, and that's great. It is good to have some feedback. Like, okay, like I said earlier in this, that I wake up at about 5 a.m. every day and I go to sleep at the same time every night. That's a habit that I have. But most people are like, well, how do you stay consistent with that? How do you do it? Because I don't need an alarm to do it or anything like that. It's just natural now. And it's because I have a no compromising behavior. I have the same daily practices every day and all that. And again, people say, well, how do you stay consistent with those? And they'll say, I have kids. They'll come up with all the excuses. Listen, I have kids myself. I have 3 children. I have a pretty complex life and I have a lot going on. So it would be easy for me to do the same thing and say, well, yeah, I'm a parent too. I can't have consistency, whatever. But that's not really, that's just a cop out. So how did I actually get it? So let me break this down. The way that I got it was first by coming up with what habits and discipline I needed to focus on. So you can't just go, I'm just going to be more disciplined right off the bat. You have to think about specific areas of your life first. And typically, it's best if you start the process of developing discipline in one area and then you carry it over into other areas. So I'm going to use an example here. Let's say that the area that you want to be disciplined in is you want to be productive in your routine, and you want to have a daily routine that affects your work. So you want to have a daily routine, let's say, where you start off the day with a couple hours of productive work once you get to your desk, and then you go from there. You don't, take a bunch of weird meetings in the morning that throw you off base, whatever it is. Let's just use that as an example. So you can start with, I'm going to have a daily routine. You can come up with the ideas of what it's going to look like. And now you have to implement and stay consistent. So what you want to do is first start asking yourself, well, what will this daily routine do for me? So ask yourself this question: what will this daily routine do for me? And if the answer is, well, it'll make me more productive. Okay, well, what would being more productive do for you? Well, it'll make me more money. Well, what would making more money do for you? And just start going down this path of asking these deeper questions. Just keep asking yourself, okay, what would having more money do for me? Ah, well, it would give me more freedom. Okay, well, what would having more freedom do for you? And then you just keep asking this over and over until you arrive at what I'm going to call a core state. In NLP, neuro linguistic programming, there's the core states. It comes from core transformation. So if you look up core transformation developed by the Andreas family, you'll find what I'm talking about. And the core states are things like oneness, connection to God, love, peace, beingness. It's basically those are the core states. And most people are striving for something that gets them to a core state. So there's something deeper about why they're looking for this discipline, and they need to figure out what that actually is that they're trying to achieve. What is the value associated with it that is going to be associated with the core state? And so if this make more money, and then you keep asking freedom, and then what would freedom do? What bring me happiness? Okay, well, what would having more happiness do for you? And eventually you get to this point where possibly it's love or it's oneness or something like that. And you will get there and you'll find the value that's associated with that experience right there. And typically you're trying to strive for this. This is something that you're looking to do. So then let's say you end up with it being peace because you want to have more peace. So maybe this reason that you want to actually have discipline is because you know that the more discipline you have, the more freedom you're going to have overall. As long as you can stay on track, you'll eventually have more freedom and that will bring you more peace. So let's say that's ultimately what's going on here. So you're really looking to achieve peace. Well, then you have to ask yourself, am I at peace? Am I a peaceful person? Is this a quality that I actually have tied into my identity? And for most people, it ends up not being the case. And so this goal of having more discipline is tied to values that you don't actually believe are true about yourself at your self concept, self identity level. So this can become a challenge because you're trying to have a behavior that you want to keep consistent that's associated with a value that you're not actually feeling like you embody. So it's a value that you have, it's a core value of yours, but it's misaligned with your identity. And so in order to make you consistent, in order to have the consistent discipline, you have to then go and assess what is going on here. Why do I not feel like a peaceful person? And so then this is going to be where you start to do some exercises in NLP. So what you're going to want to do is start to think about experiences that you've had that are making you feel like this isn't true. So if you're not, let's say this, I'm using the example of being a peaceful person. Maybe there's some sort of chaos that you've experienced, or maybe with your work, especially since that's the area that we were talking about, maybe you find that you are a highly anxious leader. Maybe you're a highly anxious leader. Maybe you work in an anxious way. You get sucked into a bunch of emails and messages when you first get to the office that throws you way off this routine that you're looking to have. You start moving a million miles an hour in different directions. You get spread thin and you start to feel burnt out. You feel like at the end of the day, you didn't accomplish anything. If this sounds familiar, it's because I've lived this. I've literally lived this. I'm using experience of stuff that I've actually had in my own life. And a lot of people that I've talked to in business have had this experience. So if that's the case, then you have experiences that where you have confirmed that you're not a peaceful person. You're an anxious person, let's say, or a more chaotic person, maybe. Or maybe that's how you feel about yourself. But you also have experiences of being at peace, of being a peaceful person. Maybe you remember some trips that you took where you were super peaceful. Maybe you even have a work experience of several work experiences where you didn't get pulled into different directions and you accomplished a lot and did great things and maybe you got promoted or whatever from like just being a really good leader. Who knows? There's a lot of experiences that you probably have like this. And so if that's the case, then all you really need to do is make those experiences the ones that you're identifying with, because turns out you actually are a peaceful person in certain contexts and certain experiences of yours. You just have other ones where you're not. So start to go through some of your memories and experiences and see what's going on there. So when you first start thinking of the ones where maybe you're a little bit more chaotic and inconsistent or whatever, see where they're located in your personal space. And yes, our experiences are stored in our personal space. So that could be somewhere in your body. It could be in relation to you. Maybe it's out here to your right or to your left. Maybe it's really close in front of your face. Maybe it's behind your head and it's actually auditory and you hear it. Maybe you hear it through your right ear or your left ear. And this is going to be based on what your actual representational systems tend to be. So when I talk about the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, that's the VAK. Everybody is visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, some combination of those three. 60% plus people are visual dominant. So a lot of people are going to see it visually or experience it visually. And you're going to have all of them though. Some people might be kinesthetic dominant, so you actually feel it in your body somewhere. Some people are going to be auditory dominant where they actually hear it. And so you're going to have to identify that. And it's going to be in your personal space somewhere, whether that's feeling in your body or, near you somewhere. And so you want to start to identify those negative experiences of feeling like a chaotic person. Where are those and what's the content of that? But also, what are the qualities? What are the submodalities? So if it's visual, is it large or small, bright or dim? If it's auditory, is it loud or quiet? Is it a certain type of voice? Just think about these things. What's the volume? If it's kinesthetic, is the feeling really intense? Is it light? Is it like a deep, tight feeling in your neck? Or is it like a really very minimal feeling, like in your fingertip? So you want to start to identify that sort of stuff. And then you want to see what conclusions you can draw from where the location is and how intense it is based on the submodalities for those negative experiences. Then you want to go and understand the positive experiences that you've had. The positive experiences of feeling like a peaceful person, especially in this context of work. And you want to start to identify, where are those located? What's going on with those? Are they less intense? Are they in a different location? Are they maybe dim and the other ones are just taking up more space in your experiences, so they're seeming more impactful? Typically, the answer is going to be yes. There's going to be some negative experiences that have happened that'll typically overpower a lot of these other experiences, but you can modify these now. So modify the submodalities. If it's loud, volume-wise, imagine a volume knob on those negative ones and turn the volume down. Turn the volume up on the positive experiences of feeling that peace. If you have experiences of it being really close in front of your face and large, make them smaller. Push them really far off in the distance so that they're as small as a Post-it stamp or even a pinprick. And then with the positive experiences, make them larger, make them closer. If it's in your body, feel that feeling fainting, getting smaller to the point where you barely can even feel it anymore, to where maybe you can't even feel it anymore. And make the feeling of the other ones more intense. Maybe even mess with the location of them. Move the location to where the location was of the other ones. And what you can actually do here is start to stitch together several experiences. Find like 6 experiences of this positive feeling. Stitch them all together so that they're either visually stitched together right in front of you. There's like a collage of them. Or maybe if it's hearing-wise, it's maybe one is to your side, one is over here, one's above, one's below, one's in front, one's in back. If it's for the volume, all around your head. If it's in a feeling, maybe you imagine part of it in your hand, one hand, part in the other hand, part in your foot, part in your other foot, in your head, maybe in your stomach. So now you have like different points where you're experiencing these things. Now, if you do this, you'll find that the negative experiences you were having become less intense. So you can sit with the positive ones and you can just keep on making those negative experiences less intense. Sit with the positive ones for longer. This practice of doing this is going to start to root your identity in being this peaceful person. And so, again, I use this just as an example. You can apply this to other aspects of discipline. Let's say working out, getting fit, something like that. Could be some practice, reading every day, something like that. You can find the practice that works for you and apply the same framework. And you'll start to identify that you actually have all this power. And you can start to shift your identity to being that core state and that core value that you're looking for. And that becomes a quality of yours. And eventually you'll start to go, I am a peaceful person. Yeah, sometimes maybe I get pulled off track, but I'm a peaceful person. And you'll actually find that you'll start to work differently. The discipline will start to carry over and it will stay. It will give you lasting results. And this is a super, super powerful practice. And it does require work. You do have to do this regularly. You can't just do this once and then go, okay, I'm good now. You want to revisit this from time to time. You want to revisit your values from time to time. And you want to do these practices regularly so that you don't have a negative experience that starts to overpower one of the other ones and create some limiting belief. So, if you want to learn more about how this all works, check the link in the description. And I have a completely free school community, and it has free courses and a lot of free resources that go a lot deeper than this one.